Again, it's weird.
All right, so again, we're gonna do a little bit of a core flow tonight, but we're gonna move nice and slow. Listen to your body. As always, do whatever feels good for you. And yes, you can tap out in yoga, Kate. You can just go into child's pose or whatever feels good for you. Um, and then the other thing that I just wanted to quickly mention before we start is that it looks like we can open up. Well, I've set up the Wednesday nights to open up on June 16th, provided everything goes well and we get into step one, which I think we should. But we just may have to adjust the times on Wednesday evenings. So I'm going to send out a mass email and just let me know what you're available. We do have 7 weeks left in the 8-week sessions. So we will figure that out and it'll all be outside. But you know what? At least we will be together and in community. And that is going to be absolutely fantastic because it has been way too long at this point. So again, I invite you to find whatever rest looks like for you. You can find Shavasana. Maybe modified Shavasana feels really good, especially if you've had a lot of movement where your muscles are tight, or if you have any low back pain. You can find seated, whatever feels really good for you this evening. And as we begin to settle in, I invite you to start with that nice cleansing breath in through the nose, filling up your belly, your ribs, and your chest. And really exhale, sigh it all out, let it go. One more time, a nice slow inhale through the nose, filling up all the spaces in your body. And once again, really exhaling it all out, just letting everything go. And starting to feel yourself become really heavy on the mat beneath you. And tuning into your breath. Maybe you notice the breath enter the body along the back of the throat and into the lungs. And maybe you notice the opposite way around on your exhalation as all the air gently leaves your body. And just noticing that beautiful flow of life and breath as it moves in and out, in and out. And maybe this evening we notice, not just in our Shavasana, but in our movement, where emotion lives in your body. Maybe you can feel tension in your chest or butterflies in your stomach. Or maybe there's joy in your heart. Or maybe you don't feel anything at all. Just noticing what is true and authentic for you in this moment, especially as we start to move. And always remembering that there is no right or wrong. We're just tuning into our experience with curiosity, acceptance, and non-judgment. And also noticing as we move this evening and breathe in unison together, that maybe certain thoughts come to the surface. Maybe we try to observe them without engaging and allow them to pass on by like a leaf in a moving river. And just staying with your breath for a few moments. Maybe you can feel your chest rising and falling and being really heavy on the mat. And in the next few moments, I invite you to start to invite some movement into your body. Maybe some slow, gentle ones to begin with. We can wiggle our fingers and our toes. Maybe rolling our heads side to side, nice and slow here. We can roll at our wrists and our ankles. Beautiful. And we're going to take that big reach stretch if that serves you. Legs out long here to the midline, reaching our arms up overhead, really reaching nice and long, creating tension with our inhale here. And then as we exhale, really releasing onto the mat beneath us. One more time if that feels good for you. Inhaling nice and long, really stretching out our core before we start here. And exhale, releasing that, hugging one knee in and then the other, knees to chest here. Again, finding movement side to side, maybe finding stillness, whatever feels good for you. Beautiful, coming back to center, hands on our knees, and we're going to draw 2 circles in the ceiling this time. So letting our knees lay to this side, really opening up our hips back through the midline here. Again, moving with your breath. We're going to slow things down a little bit this evening, but that doesn't mean it's going to be any easier. It just means we're going to slow down our pace and really let our muscles engage here. Really find softness with your breath. Beautiful, and you can change the direction of your circles if that feels good for you. Beautiful, coming back to center here. We're going to find our cloud walk here. So legs in tabletop, shins are relatively parallel to the mat, knees are over our hips, arms up here, palms facing together, shoulders on the mat. We're going to inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to reach the left leg out long, right arm up overhead, thumb pointing towards the ground, and then release back to center. Noticing belly button is pulled into spine. The low back stays rooted on the mat the entire time. So only reaching that leg out as far as it can, as long as the engagement of that low back is there, to make sure we're using our core and we're not doing any damage to our back. Beautiful, finding that on the other side. So inhaling, as we exhale, reaching the right leg out long, left arm up overhead and back to center. And then flowing from side to side with your breath. Really allowing your breath to help you start the movement here. Tuning into where you feel the sensations in your body. Maybe you can feel your core starting to turn on. Maybe you feel this even in your hip flexors a little bit. One more time on each side. Beautiful. We're going to come back to center. Maybe we hug our knees into chest here one more time. We can circle at our ankles if that feels good. Beautiful. We're going to release our feet to the mat, finding a counter stretch to that. So we use finding our bridge pose here. So walking our feet into wherever feels comfortable for you. Hips and knees are in alignment. Beautiful. Arms on either side of our body, really setting up that firm foundation in our feet and our shoulders and upper arms. And then on our next exhale, squeezing the glutes as we lift our hips up to the sky, holding this for a few breaths here, really opening up the front of the body. Maybe you can notice the stretch in your hip flexor just a little bit different here. Really squeezing the glutes, making sure that they're turned on. Beautiful. And then on our next exhale, slowly rolling down one vertebra at a time. And then we can windshield washer that out if that feels good. Letting our hips fall from side to side. Arms wherever feels good for you. Beautiful. We're going to come back to center. We're going to reach our legs out long, really pressing our heels into the mat here. Arms can be wherever you would like. We're going to start on the right leg here. If it gives you more stability, feel free to bend the left knee and keep the left foot on the mat. If not, we're going to root the left heel really into the mat here, belly button into spine, core is nice and strong. And we're going to lift the right heel off the mat about 4 inches. Hold it here for a breath. Lift it up another 3 to 4 inches. And then another few inches. And then another few. And then we're going to raise it all the way up to the top. Beautiful. And then we're going to slowly let it lower to the count of 10. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Let that go. Maybe you want to shake it out. And we're going to find that on the other side. Again, if it's more stability for you, we're going to bend the right arm, right leg, placing the right foot on the mat as Molly comes to say hi. If not, we're going to root that right heel down. And we're going to lift the left heel off the mat about 3 to 4 inches. Hold it there for a breath. Lifting it up a few more inches. And then another few. And then another few. And a couple more. And then raise it all the way up to the top. Beautiful. And then letting it lower for the count of 10. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. You can shake that out. We're going to find that one more time on each side. So using the right leg again, left knee can be bent or straight out. We're going to lift that leg up a couple inches. Hold it there. And then another few. And then another few. Maybe you're starting to shake. I know I am. A few more. And then raise it all the way up. Beautiful. And lowering that down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Let that go one more time. Raising that left leg up a couple inches here, holding it. Raise it up a couple more. And then a few more. A couple more. And then lifting it all the way up to the sky and lowering it down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, we can shake that out. Maybe you want a windshield washer, whatever feels good for you. And then in your next few breaths, we're going to bend our knees, placing our feet on the mat, reaching the right or left arm over their head, rolling over onto the side body. Pausing for a really beautiful breath here. You earned it. And then pressing through your palm and making our way up into our tabletop pose. Fingertips spread nice and wide. Wrists are underneath our shoulders, knees are under hips, spine nice and tall. And then as we exhale, tailbone lifts, belly lowers, heart shining forward, cow. Exhale, really rounding into that cat back stretch. Beautiful. Finding your perfect flow with this. Adding in any movement you need. Maybe you stop at one pose for a little bit longer than the other. Once again, really tuning into what your body is asking for. Remembering that I'm just a guide, so if your body is asking for some other movement, I invite you to find that. Beautiful. One more time through. Beautiful. Coming back to center. On our next breath, reaching the left leg to the back of the mat. We can lift that leg off the mat if that feels okay. Beautiful. And then as we exhale, really rounding in, knee to chest. Exhaling out. Rounding in. Beautiful. 2 more times. Really rounding in. Releasing out. Last time, round it in, knee to chest. And then releasing that left knee to the mat. Maybe we rock our hips side to side. Beautiful. We're going to pivot the right foot off the mat, keeping those toes tucked, finding our way into side plank here. So right wrist underneath the right shoulder, left leg extending, arm up high. Really reach into the sky through our fingertips. And if it feels okay, we can lift that left leg off the mat here. Toes are flexed towards the face, really opening up our chest to the sky. Beautiful. If that leg is lifted, we're going to lower that down. We're going to cartwheel that left arm around. We're going to make our way back into tabletop. Knees to the edge of the mat, big toes stretch. Sitting back on our heels and really melting ourselves to the mat, finding that beautiful child's pose. Again, if movement feels good for you here, I invite you to find that. You're rolling out your forehead, feels really nice. Giving your third eye a beautiful massage. Be rocking your hips. And then maybe we find a few breaths of stillness here. Beautiful. We're going to look forward, press into our hands, making our way back to our tabletop pose. Again, fingertips spread nice and wide to protect the wrists. Really suction cupping the ends of your fingers. Beautiful. Reaching that right foot to the back of the mat. Maybe we even lift it off the mat. And then as we exhale, rounding in, knee to chest. Beautiful. Reaching that back out. And then rounding in. 2 more times here. Beautiful. Last time. Rounding in. Beautiful. And then bringing the right knee to meet the left again if we need to rock our hips side to side. And then setting up for side plank on the other side, pivoting the left foot off the mat. Left toes tucked, left wrist underneath our shoulder, opening up here. Fingertips reaching high. And if it feels okay, reaching that right leg off the mat, toes flex towards the face. Beautiful. We're going to lower that down, cartwheel our arm around, make our way back into our tabletop. Walking our hands forward just a couple of inches here, fingertips spread nice and wide, tucking our toes, lifting our hips up and back. Downward facing dog. And then finding that movement that you need to settle in. Take the dog for a walk. Maybe rock our hips side to side. Beautiful. And we're going to find a really beautiful cow flow here. So on our exhale, we're going to lower our knees down to the mat, almost in tabletop, toes still tucked. Lowering our belly into cow. And then as we exhale and start to round, we're going to lift our knees off the mat, hinging back up, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Finding that 2 more times, nice and slow, lowering our knees down, cow. Exhaling, hinging back up. Beautiful. 1 more time. And then hinging back up, finding that downward facing dog. And then bending our knees, making our way to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Really being heavy here. Knees are bent as much as they need to be. We can rock side to side, front and back. Beautiful. Halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, rooting down as we rise up to the sky. And exhaling, mountain. Beautiful. Finding a couple sun breaths before we get into movement. Inhaling up. And exhaling, hands down through heart center. Beautiful. 1 more time. Inhaling up. Exhaling, hands down through our center as we hinge at our hips, finding that forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back. This time we're going to find our airplane arms. So squeezing the shoulder blades together, fingertips reaching to the back of the mat, palms facing down. Really engaging our core here as we lift our torso off the mat. Beautiful. Exhale, fold. Beautiful. Planting our hands. Reaching the left foot to the back of the mat. Runner's lunge, lowering that knee, rising up. Low lunge here. Beautiful. Exhaling forward, left wrist down, twisting open to the right. Circling that right arm around. Right knee meets left. Finding our child's pose. We're going to inhale, float forward like a wave to our plank, or maybe starting with a kneeling plank here, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, lowering all the way down. Rooting in as we rise up to cobra or baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Pressing up through tabletop, tucking our toes, lifting our hips up and back. Downward facing dog. And then bending our knees and making our way to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down as we rise up to the sky. Exhaling our hands down through heart center, hinging at our hips, finding that forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back, airplane arms. Beautiful, folding forward, planting our hands, right foot back this time. Lowering that right knee, you can untuck your toes. Low lunge on this side. Beautiful, folding forward, right wrist underneath the right shoulder, opening to the left. Left arm around, left knee meets right. Finding that child's pose. Inhaling forward to our kneeling plank or plank and lowering all the way down. Again, finding that root, rising up. Exhale, lower. Pressing up through tabletop, tucking our toes, hinging up, downward facing dog. Bending our knees, making our way to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up to the sky. Exhaling, mountain. Beautiful. I'm just going to grab a sip of water before we flow again. Beautiful. Maybe we find mountain pose just for another breath or two. Remembering that you can modify any part of the flow that feels good for you. Beautiful. Inhaling up. Exhale, hands down through heart center, hinging at our hips, bowing in, forward fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, reaching our left foot back, high on the ball mound, or lowering that knee, rising up, crescent lunge. Beautiful. Exhale, hinging forward, planting our hands, right foot meets left, downward facing dog. We're going to inhale, float forward like a wave to plank or kneeling plank. Exhale, hinge it back up, downward facing dog. Finding two more of that, really hinging, flowing forward like a wave, shoulders over wrists, and back. Beautiful. Last one here, floating forward like a wave, plank or kneeling plank, lowering halfway or all the way to the mat. Upward facing dog or cobra. Back to downward facing dog or child's pose. Beautiful. Bending our knees, making our way to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up to the sky. Hands down through heart center, bowing in as we hinge forward. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, reaching the other foot to the back of the mat. Rising up, crescent lunge or low lunge. Beautiful. Exhale, folding forward, planting our hands, feet meeting at the back of the mat. Downward facing dog.
Finding that plank flow one more time, floating forward like a wave to plank or kneeling plank, shoulders over wrists, hinging back up. Beautiful. 2 more times, really floating forward like a beautiful wave. Exhaling back up. 1 more time because you are so strong. And then lowering halfway or all the way to the mat. Upward facing dog or cobra. Back to downward facing dog or child's pose. And then bending our knees, making our way to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up. And exhaling, mountain. Beautiful, finding our mountain pose for a breath. Maybe we grab a sip of water. Beautiful. We're gonna inhale slowly up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive. Find that halfway lift with our airplane arms again. And then as we exhale, we're gonna lower our hips, making our way into our imaginary chair, reaching our arms forward where they can be at heart center. Beautiful, we're gonna straighten our legs as we hinge, find that halfway lift, airplane arms. And then lowering our hips as we reach forward. 1 more time. Beautiful, reaching forward here. And then exhale, folding in. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, stepping back into our downward facing dog. Beautiful, we're gonna hinge, floating forward like a wave to that plank or kneeling plank. Maybe this time we lift our right leg off the mat just a little bit. And then hinge back up to our 3-legged dog. Right leg is lifted. And then as we exhale, rounding and bringing that knee to chest, foot between our hands. Really becoming sturdy in our feet, high on the ball mound of the left foot, rising up. Finding that crescent lunge. Beautiful, we're gonna find our eagle arms in this position. So right arm circles underneath the left, palms together if that's available, or just holding on to opposite elbows here. Pulling our elbows away from the body while they're still in line with the shoulders. If it feels okay for you, you can stay here. If you'd like to add on a little bit more, we're gonna round in as we bring our elbows towards our knee and rise back up. Beautiful, exhale, rounding in and rising back up. 1 more time. Beautiful, rising back up. We can let that go, we can shake that out. Maybe our arms go back up to the sky for a breath. And then we're gonna pivot that left foot, opening up, warrior 2. Right palm reaches up a little, reach forward. Exalt our warrior here. Beautiful. Warrior 2. Placing that right arm on the top of the thighs, circling that left arm around, opening up, side angle. Maybe we reach that left bicep by our ear, palm facing down, pointing the pinky finger to the back of the mat. And if we really want to test our core, we're going to reach our right arm up, like we're holding that beach ball between our hands. Holding it for just another breath. Beautiful. And then rising back up. Warrior 2. We're gonna straighten that right leg, really kicking out our left hip as we make our way into our triangle. Really letting those left fingertips be pulled up to the sky. We're gonna let our right hand be heavy here, and we're gonna find little pulses up towards the sky and lower for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one.
Beautiful. Keeping our legs straight, we're gonna rise up, exalt our triangle here. Lunging into that front leg, finding warrior two. Straightening that right leg, hands to heart center, pivoting our feet. Beautiful. Toes pointing to the long edge of the mat. Finding a wide-legged forward fold here. Hands at heart center to start. Inhale, create length. And exhale, hinging forward. Beautiful. Maybe we walk our hands into the midline. Maybe our forearms are heavy on the ground, reaching the crown of the head towards the mat. Really breathing into the backs of the legs here. Letting them elongate slowly. Your knees can also be bent. Beautiful. We're going to find our halfway lift. Left hand underneath the face, reaching the right arm up to the sky, twisting open to the right. Maybe we even circle this right wrist around if that feels good. And then holding it here for a breath. And then bringing that right hand down, either hand on the mat, fingertips cupped, or even onto a block, left arm extending. Again, we can circle out that left wrist. And then holding that for a breath. And then coming back to center. Walking our hands to the front of the mat, and as we pivot our feet, finding runner's lunge just for a moment. Bending that left knee, left foot meets right, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up. And exhaling, mountain. Beautiful, finding that flow on the other side. Inhaling up. Exhale, swan dive. Halfway lift, flat back, finding our airplane arms here. And then lowering our hips into our imaginary chair, reaching forward. Spine is nice and tall the entire time. Exhale, hinging, airplane arms, flat back. And then lowering our hips as we reach forward. One more time. Beautiful, reaching forward. And then exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, stepping back into our downward facing dog. Beautiful, hinging forward to our plank or our kneeling plank. Maybe we lift our left leg up off the mat this time, shoulders over wrists, and then hinge it back up to three-legged dog, or just extend that left leg if that's better for you. Rounding a knee to chest as we bring that foot in between our hands. And rising up, crescent lunge on this side. Beautiful, finding those eagle arms, or just bringing the left arm over top of the right, hugging our shoulders. If not, left arm underneath the right, palms facing in. Elbows are in line with our shoulders, whichever variation we're in. We're pulling the elbows away from our body. And if it feels okay, we're gonna round in, elbow towards the knee. Rising back up nice and slow. 2 more times. Rising back up. Woo. Last time. Beautiful. You can let that go. Rising up for a breath. Your hands can stay at heart center. Pivoting that right foot. Finding our warrior two. Left palm reaches up a little, reach forward. Exalt our warrior on the side. Beautiful, coming back. Warrior two. Left arm on our thigh. We're circling this right arm around, opening up, supported side angle. Maybe we bring the bicep by our ear, palm facing down. And then if we want to test our balance again, we're lifting that left arm up, holding onto that beach ball as we open up a little bit to the right here. Harley's moving around, so let's move in the laptop. Beautiful. And then rising up. Warrior two. Straightening that left leg, really kicking out the right hip, hinging forward. Triangle, fingertips reaching to the sky. And finding those slight pulses up and down. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Beautiful, rising up, legs still straight, exalting our triangle here. Beautiful, hinging back. Warrior two, circling that right foot. Crescent lunge just for a moment. Hinging forward, bending the right knee, right foot meets left, forward fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up. And exhaling. Mountain. Beautiful. Inhaling up to the sky. Hands down through heart center as we lower into that imaginary chair here for just a few moments. Belly button into spine. Rooting down through our right foot as we rise up, bringing that right knee towards our chest, really engaging our core here. And then hinging back, reaching that right foot on a 45-degree angle, finding warrior one. Again, arms wherever it feels good. Beautiful, we're gonna find our chest expansion. So again, holding onto that beach ball, opposite elbows or forearms. Or maybe we interlace our fingers, really squeezing our shoulder blades together here, heart shining forward. And if it feels okay, we're gonna humble our warrior as we bow in. Really rooting through our feet here as we rise up slowly. Beautiful, arms up to the sky. We're gonna hinge forward. We're gonna walk our hands forward, finding that tripod fingertips light on the mat. Bending the left leg as we reach the right leg high, finding that standing split. Maybe the left hand goes behind the left leg, testing our balance. Beautiful. And then in the next few breaths, right foot meets left. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up to the sky. And exhaling, mountain pose. Beautiful, finding mountain pose for a breath. And then in our next few breaths, we're gonna reach our arms up to the sky. Hands down through heart center, finding that imaginary chair, lowering our hips, belly button into spine. Rooting into the right foot as we rise up, left knee towards our chest. And then reaching that left foot back on a 45-degree angle. Hips square to the front of the mat. And finding any arm variation that feels good for you. Beautiful, finding that chest expansion on this side, however that felt for you. Whichever arm variation you'd like to choose. Heart shining forward, really opening our heart up here. And then allowing your breath to find the movement here, hinging forward if it feels okay. Humbling our warrior. Rooting down through our feet as we rise back up. Letting that go. Beautiful, hinging forward. We're gonna walk our hands forward a little bit, finding that tripod on this side, bending the right knee, lifting the left leg up to the sky.
And then if it feels okay, right hand can go behind the right calf, even if it's only for a moment, just testing your balance. There's nothing wrong in falling a little bit here. Your mat's there to protect you. Beautiful. Then left foot meets right. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down as we rise up to the sky. And exhaling, mountain. Beautiful, inhaling up. Exhale, swan dive. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, stepping back into our tabletop. And then lowering ourselves all the way to the mat. Beautiful. We're gonna find our locust pose. Again, you can lift just your legs. You can have your hands underneath your forehead, lifting just the legs. You can also lift just the chest. Whatever feels better for you in this moment. If you'd like to find a full locust pose, forehead to the mat, nice and neutral here. Palms facing in, arms on either side of your body, really rooting down through your pubic bone. Feeling the pelvic bone really root and be heavy on the mat. That's your anchor. Inhaling here. And then as we exhale, rising up, maybe we lift our chest and our legs, reaching our fingertips back. Maybe we lift just the legs, or maybe we lift just the chest. Holding for one more breath. And then exhale, lower right cheek down, left cheek up. We can rock our hips. Beautiful. Finding that one more time. Remembering that locust pose is fantastic for back strength. So it's really going to help with low back pain after a while. This is really going to strengthen all the muscles in the back here. So finding whichever variation felt good for you. Again, rooting in through that pubic bone. Inhaling here. Exhale, rising up in whichever variation you choose. And then exhale, lower down, left cheek down, right cheek up this time. Again, we can rock our hips side to side. Beautiful, coming back to center. Hands on either side of the body, pressing up and back. Finding that child's pose. Arms can be forward, arms can be back beside your legs. Maybe we change the position of our arms. Maybe our thumbs are facing up. Stretching out the shoulders in a bit of a different direction if that feels better. Again, listening to your body and giving it what it needs in this moment. Beautiful. We're going to come back to center, finding that child's pose once more. If our arms are back behind our feet, we're going to reach them forward. And then in our next few breaths, we're going to walk them over to the left, rooting that right hip down, stretching out the right side of the body. Coming back to center and then walking them over to the right a little bit here, rooting down to the left hip, left side body opening up this time, really breathing into it. Walking our hands back through center, looking forward at our palms, pressing in. Making our way up into our tabletop. Beautiful. Finding any movement you need here. Maybe a cat-cow feels really good. Letting go of your core. We're going to stretch out our shoulders here. So coming back to neutral spine, We're going to inhale our right arm up to the sky. Exhale, reach it through without all the way going forward. Just going to have a nice twist here first. Inhaling that right arm back up to the sky, and exhale, reaching it through the left wrist and left knee. Last time, inhaling up. This time, really reaching it through before we drop that right shoulder and right ear down to the mat. Again, left fingertips can be cupped up towards the top of the mat. Maybe your hand stays by your face. Maybe you reach it around your low back in a half bind. In your next few breaths, bringing that left hand by your face, planting the palm and safely rising up. Tabletop. Again, finding any movement you need here. And then finding that on the other side, inhaling that left arm up to the sky, and then threading it through, just reaching it over, twisting it out. Inhaling up. Exhale, reaching it through. Inhaling back up. And exhale, reaching it really nice and long through, lowering the left shoulder, left ear down to the mat. Again, hand can be forward, it can stay by our face. Or we can wrap it around the low back in a half bind. And in our next few breaths, bringing that right hand by our face, making our way back to tabletop. And again, maybe finding a cat-cow. Maybe wagging our tail feels good. Beautiful. Now we're gonna make our way into seated. Reaching our legs out front here. Again, fleshy bits away. Inhaling up to the sky. Exhale, hinging forward, finding that seated forward fold. Tuning back into your breath. Allowing thoughts just to pass on by. And once again, noticing, where does emotion live in your body? And just honoring it, where you're at today. Beautiful. Exhale, rising up. We're going to make our way to the middle of the mat, bending our knees and rolling back gently onto our backs, hugging our knees to our chest. Letting our feet hang, hands on our knees, drawing circles in the sky in whichever direction you'd like to start with. Giving our low back a beautiful massage here. Giving yourself some love. And then changing the direction if that feels okay. Beautiful. Coming back to center. Just finding a passive twist here. Arms in cactus or T, knees bent, feet on the mat. And then as we exhale, dropping the legs or the knees over to the left. Shoulders rooted. Looking straight ahead or out to the right. You can even straighten that right leg if it feels good for you. Starting to find your breath. Slowing it down. Noticing the breath as it enters your body and as it leaves again. Filling you with prana, new life. If that right leg is outstretched, we're going to bend it in, bringing our knees back to center. Starting back in the middle of here, finding our way back to the midline, maybe adjusting whatever you need. And then as we exhale, dropping the knees over to the right. Again, you can straighten that left leg if there's room. Looking straight ahead or out to the left. Maybe noticing where this feels or where the sensations are in your body in this stretch. Maybe you feel it in your low back, along your IT band, maybe even all the way down to your toes. Maybe you feel it in your shoulders. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. Just tuning in and noticing. Beautiful. On our next breath, bringing our legs back to center. We're going to find that big reach stretch before we find our final Shavasana. Just stretching out our core muscles here. Legs out long if that feels good. Arms overhead, really lengthening out all the body here. And exhale, let it go. One more time. Inhale, reaching nice and long. And exhale, let it go. And in your next few breaths, I invite you to make your way into your variation of final resting pose, Shavasana. When you've made your way there, I invite you to close with a nice breath. Inhaling through the nose, filling up your belly, your ribs, and your chest. And really exhale, sigh it all out, let it go. And really becoming heavy on your mat. Welcoming your breath back in. How does your breath feel now? Does it feel any different than it did at the start of practice? Again, without judgment. Maybe on our next exhale, our shoulders roll back and down and become a little bit more relaxed and softened onto the mat beneath you. And just surrendering here and releasing anything that doesn't serve you. And finding your breath for a few moments. Once again, allowing me to hold this virtual space for you until it's time to bring you back. And in your next few moments, starting to call yourself back into your room. Maybe you start by noticing any sounds outside of the space that you're in. And then focusing on the sounds you can hear inside of your space.
Maybe there's some gentle music. Maybe it's my voice. Or maybe it's your breath. Just welcoming yourself back into this safe space. And then when it feels good for you, I invite you to slowly start to wake yourself up with some small, gentle movements, whatever those may be. And as your body calls for it, you can start to expand those movements. And then finding anything you need to fully bring yourself back, to fully wake up. And then in your next few breaths, I invite you to bend your knees, placing your feet on the mat, reaching your right or your left arm over your head and rolling over onto your right or your left side body. And then pressing through your palm and making your way up into seated lotus pose, however that is for you. Beautiful. And taking one last breath together here in unison, inhaling our arms up to the sky, nice and slow. And exhaling down through heart center as we bow in. Thank you so much for joining me once again virtually. Hopefully we will be together very soon. The love and the light in me truly sees and honors and is reflected in the love and the light in each of you. Thank you once again for joining me this evening. Namaste. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, Laura. Have a great night. Well, hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yes.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.